remember now too is that I want to thank Johnny for his service. Our family lineage goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War. And Johnny is carrying on that proud tradition. So thanks again for that, Johnny. So first I got to switch my glasses. I don't know how many of you have 2 or 3 pairs of glasses. One for close-up reading, one for driving, and this one is for the middle distance. So bear with me, I am going to read off this a little bit. And you know, I can't think of a better place to have this service for Chris and Missy. After all those years of dedicated service, what better place? And an interesting point is that this ship was commissioned on the same year that Chris was born. So there's a lot of loops and things that go together here, as we'll find out more tonight. Well, in case you don't know, I am Stephen Clark Anderson. Our family was big on formal middle names, the whole thing. I'm the youngest sole survivor in our family. David Harvey Anderson was the middle son. And oh, how I wish he was here tonight, because he had the gift of gab. He could go on and on without notes like I have. But he's not, so I'll do my best. And of course, Christopher Clay Anderson was my oldest brother. And what I'd like to do tonight is spend more time talking about growing up with Chris. A lot of you out there have heard stories about Chris, maybe when he was already an officer or his other career in the private sector. But I'm the lucky one that got to grow up with him in the house. And there's a lot of funny stories, and I'll try and come up with a couple for you. An interesting thing about my brother Chris, I think you could file this under dedicated and committed. Out of his 76 years, he only had 6 years where he was not involved in the Navy. Yeah, you count his 18 years growing up in a Navy household, I think only 4 years in college and then a couple of years in retirement. I'd call that dedicated right there. So a couple things. You may already know that he was a Navy pilot for 25 years. And you would think that would be enough of a career to stop and maybe go enjoy yourself. Not my brother. My brother always had to have a goal, and he always had to be working on something greater than himself. And I think we got that from the family I grew up in. So he went on to work another 28 years for a private sector, Honeywell and Lockheed Martin. But I think more importantly, what he'd be proud about, what he created, was his family. Not only his 50-year marriage to Missy, but his wonderful children. And 13 grandchildren? And 2 great-grandchildren? How many? 4. Oh, we gotta update that one page there. Okay. Somebody's been busy. So kind of what I'm gonna talk about, and I think I'm gonna end up going over my time allotment, so bear with me. I'm old, I can get away with that. It's interesting to look back at the time period that Chris grew up, and it's part of what made him who he was. Unlike today's norms, a man was known by what he did and not by what he said. Actions spoke louder than words, unlike today, where words speak much louder than actions, and often they're not even true, as we self-describe ourselves. So a man had to do things with his life to kind of create a name for himself, right? And our heroes at that time were bigger than life. Think about John Wayne, a man of action. That was our hero. And my dad was our hero also. I mean, he was our awesome military guy, always going off to fight. And though we didn't like the long periods of time when he was gone,